Thank you again for sending in your questions and your thoughts. I love the engagement, and I love hearing how each of you is rumbling with this material and trying to contextualize it into your life and the situations and relationships that you're in. As I look through the questions, there were just 3 that I wanted to look at in this Q&A. So here's to the first question. So I'm in business and I like this stuff, but how does it flesh out? I want to be more vulnerable. What does that mean? Do I tell people about my mum being in hospital with calluses on her feet so that people will trust me more? Yeah, that's a great question, and I'm so excited to see this change how we do business. It's easy when we talk about vulnerability to confuse that with disclosure. Being vulnerable doesn't mean disclosure. Vulnerability and intimacy are 2 very different things. In business, what we're trying to achieve is connection, for people to connect with what we have to offer them. So keeping in mind the purpose of vulnerability is for connection. It's vulnerability appropriate to the situation, subject, and purpose. Vulnerability is not a tool for manipulation. Vulnerability's goal is connection. Once they connect with what we're offering, trust is built by meeting their needs. I believe that pursuing emotional intelligence so we have a much better read on what's actually going on with our market, our suppliers, our staff, the needs of our clients, gives us another tool to be more effective and find creative outcomes. The next question was asked, how do you know what to be brave about? And I want to be more brave, and I want to be known for that. But normally when I'm brave and honest, people say I overwhelm them. We do all want to be brave, but where and how to deal with the pushback and the reactions that come as a result of our bravery, that's necessary. Bravery challenges a system. We all have systems which are ways of operating and doing things, be it in our families, our relationships, our workplaces, our faith and our sporting communities. To be brave means to bring change. I think that when we're being brave, there are 2 dynamics operating. There is the internal dynamic, and this involves identifying our narratives when we're being brave and we meet pushback. It's here our emotional intelligence gets to show up. Can we identify the emotions that we're feeling as people respond to our bravery? I think our shame resilience is also going to be a biggie in this space. And this is covered in the 3rd module of Living Courage, which covers building effective shame and honor resilience. It's normal to experience self-doubt and I'm not good enough narrative when our brave is met with rejection, indifference, hostility, or any form of pushback for that matter. So there's that internal dynamic to be aware of, but then there's also an external dynamic. That's how do we respond to outwardly to the pushback. What we reach for here to self-protect matters hugely. Do we reach for defensiveness, or can we stay in a place of passing on information? Do we pull out contempt and puff up, or do we keep curious and ask questions and keep respect in the exchange? Do we identify with the emotion of the person that's pushing back and try and meet that need, or do we become combative and aggressive? Research is showing that the number 1 thing leaders are choosing not to do is have brave conversations. I think being brave will mean we need to skill up on knowing how to have hard conversations. Hard conversations are hard. To manage the external dynamic, we've got to learn how to have clear, respectful, clarifying conversations and to be patient with people. The 3rd question that I've pulled out here is, what do you do when no one else in your workplace has heard of any of this And I believe if I'm vulnerable or share weakness, I think that they will think I'm pathetic, and I fear I'll lose my job. It's so hard being a pioneer. Being understood as right, we'll have to give up. Again, here's the double edge of vulnerability. Learning how to offer appropriate vulnerability according to the circumstance and the level of relationship we have with people is one side. The other edge of vulnerability is learning how to navigate the triggers and beliefs our vulnerability will bring out in others. I think in the workplace, reassurance is an important aspect we bring when we do vulnerability. For example, to front up and say to your boss, I don't know what the answer is to this problem that you asked me to fix, could, without a value for vulnerability, authenticity and creativity for that means, get a person demoted. But to bring reassurance, a suggested process by which the answer may be found, suggesting it might take a little bit longer also, can be a way of creating a value for vulnerability. Again, we need to remember that vulnerability is not oversharing. And at the end of the day, other people's responses are other people's responses. I've also found that if we can get leaders into this material, it's going to affect the culture and the people that we're working with. Thank you again for sending in your questions and your thoughts. Keep sending in your emails, and watch out for the next Q&A.